visual stage in visual learning. One of the process that I've learned to help adapt the communication of this podcast is by recording it visually. I had started doing this on my earlier shows on Blog Talk Radio when I wanted to deliver messages that I would record them in the visual setting so that individuals could not only hear what I'm saying, but see me and the character of who I am in learning to identify with me and who I am and processing that information in positive ways so they can get a recognition and awareness of who was speaking, and who was behind the mic, so to say, who was involved in this podcast. I've learned through the various stages of connecting with individuals. They can oftentimes be challenging depending on the location and environment that I'm in relating to individuals and the challenges that they're faced. Some individuals feel when I talk on a level that is beyond their comprehension or beyond their understanding, that when I try to communicate with them, that they feel that I'm talking down to them, or they feel insulted or feel lost by the communication and by what I am trying to represent to them in the communication. I'm oftentimes misunderstood in the various environments that I find myself in because of my lack of awareness of the linguistics or the educational level of that individual in trying to communicate with them my ideas, my concepts, my beliefs, and my structure of learning. I'm often faced with speaking clearly. I find myself oftentimes repeating the things that I say. I find myself oftentimes reorganizing the structure of what it is that I'm trying to say to reach an individual. Several years ago, in 2012, I was confronted in a situation where people thought that I spoke, in a sense, in the cloud. I spoke above their structure of learning. I was in an environment that was very hostile. I was in an environment that was very challenged with people that were accused of manipulating or trying to control the individuals in their environment. And being in that environment and learning in that environment, I kind of put myself in a cave or isolated myself from those individuals as I continued to learn and write various books on trying to translate what it is that I've learned in various idioms, various parables. And I realized that my storytelling oftentimes got long winded and very unique in trying to draw ideas into people's minds and trying to get them to see a picture of what it is that I was trying to relate to them. And the challenges that I faced in that environment of trying to isolate me, trying to not have me communicate, trying to set me apart from those individuals. And I realized at that point the nature of what it was to be an iconoclast when you're trying to change the traditions of people, when you're trying to change the standards of learning or the standards of individuals based on morals, intelligence, or comprehension, that oftentimes they feel attacked or they feel that I'm addressing them or addressing them in negative ways. And the language that I use can oftentimes bind them and hinder them in feeling challenged in trying to connect with me. It is why I later developed these podcasts to bring people into an awareness and understanding the me of who I am and the process and how I try to relate to them. And oftentimes, in my trying to relate, and as I said before, becoming long winded in trying to connect with individuals and trying to get them to connect or ground ourselves in positive ways of communication. Later learned to develop the skills of nonviolent communication and alternatives to violence missions in trying to connect and relate to people. I often try to relate to them in the spirit of their being, in the spirit of their awareness, and I oftentimes get ridiculed when an individual does not understand what it is that I'm trying to relate.
And
I
you can
hope
leave me out of your blogs too.
this podcast has been helpful, and as we see, as individuals interject their information or try to interject into what it is that I'm trying to relate, I can see that they're challenged and they feel offended as they interject their voice in trying to feel safe and trying to feel a sense of worth. And as they interject into these podcasts, their beliefs, the structure of what I'm trying to talk about is I'm trying to talk about my experiences in my life and using examples such as that in trying to relate to you the difficulty that podcasters and other teachers face in trying to connect with individuals in learning structures. I hope this has been helpful, and I hope this becomes a learning tool for individuals that are trying to reach out and trying to advocate a sense of awareness to individuals throughout this planet and throughout this world, and the difficulties that teachers face in trying to meet the needs of those that they are trying to teach and educate and bring into awareness. This has been a podcast of the invisible, bringing to you a reality that oftentimes does not get noticed, and realize the difficulties that various individuals in learning institutions face in trying to close the gap of education and close the arenas of learning. Again, this has been Balin Clark bringing to you my reality and the reality that a lot of individuals face as they try to progress forward in their life. Have a blessed day. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope this broadcast has been helpful in helping you understand the challenges and difficulties faced in not only podcasting, but the difficulties faced in videography when we do not have the correct institutions or the correct environments to give and dedicate ourselves to the aspects of learning. This has been Balin Clark broadcasting to you awareness. and challenging.